Starting on July 2025, the National Immigration Service began rigorously enforcing penalties for failing to update residence address. Communication was scattered and the offices were flooded with questions. To sort this out, we begin with 3 specific questions. Who exactly does this apply to? How do you confirm that the address appears on your file today? And how do you update it correctly to avoid any fines? The rule is clear. If you have an approved residency in Panama, you have 30 days from your move to notify the change. If you do so after the deadline, you'll be charged with an $100 fine when updating, even if you are a dependent within the same family file. Each person pays their own fine separately. Repeat offenses can lead to a cancellation of your status, and the third failure to comply can lead to deportation. Now let's talk about the original version of the memo that immigration issued, and it says, for failing to report a change of residence, you will be required to pay a fine of $100 for the first time. The second time, your immigration status will be canceled, and the third time, you will be deported. If you are unsure of the registered address, avoid using the resolution as a definitive source because it does not reflect the last address. The safest thing to do is to consult with the lawyer who processed your residency application. They will likely keep the file and the supporting documents you submitted. If you don't have this option, visit the National Immigration Service office so an agent can verify that the address currently associated with your registration is in the system. In the case of retirees, there are important nuances. Those who applied individually and didn't present a list could have been left blank in the system. When updating their application, there is no penalty because there is no previous address. This is different for couples or families who apply and provided a list with their application. There is a registered address, and if they no longer live there, they must pay a penalty when making the change. If you are temporarily out of the country for urgent reasons and your registered address in Panama is still valid for service, you don't need to make immediate action. However, if they will be living at a different address upon returning, they must notify the change within 30 days of the actual move to avoid penalties. Ideally, plan the update along with your return and request backups for the new location in advance. The first few days, there was a great demand of information about this topic and frequent questions, as the requirements were initially circulated in printed documents within the office rather than on their websites. In the absence of further online announcements, the Immigration Office began disseminating the requirements for the procedure in an informal flyer like this one. Requirements obtained at the Immigration Service Office of Panama. To make things a little easier, each branch handed out flyers with variations in the requirements for completing the same procedure. Therefore, we recommend that if you are outside of Panama City, you check these requirements at your nearest National Immigration Service office. What they did leave out in the only official communication is how much you should pay. The following was mentioned by the memo at the Immigration Service. The $100 fine will be strictly applied to foreigners who fail to report changes in their residency information. In practice, the process is done in person and in the correction area of the immigration registry. Immigration issues the ticket with the letter X only when you arrive with your complete file. Daily quotas are limited and are not assigned in advance. If any document is missing, you will not be granted an appointment. So it's a good idea to review everything carefully and consider legal representation if your schedule or language problems could complicate the process. Notarized lease agreement. Copy of the landlord ID card. Utility bill. Electricity, water in the applicant's name. Now, as a clarification of what I mentioned previously, if you don't have any receipts under your name and the receipt is under the landlord's name, then you must present a letter from the landlord with a copy of his ID confirming that you live in that address and that the landlord is the one who pays for these services. All you have to do is just pay for the late filing fine if you are not within the first 30 days of your leasing contract. Now, remember that these guidelines apply to the Panama location and may vary at other locations. If you need a specific video from the David location, let us know in the comments. To reduce rejection, verify that the address matches exactly on the contract, letter, and receipts. Check signatures and dates. Bring legible original and copies, and as well as your resident ID and passport. Have a contact number for the landlord on hand in case the official needs to confirm the information. Keeping printed a digital version of everything makes future updates easier, specifically if you change addresses frequently. If you moved months ago and are going to correct your move now, assume the applicable fines and complete the process as soon as possible. The risk is leaving it until late and accumulating violations. 2 omissions weakens your record, and the third can lead to a severe measure. Organize your documents calmly. Request a letter from your landlord and double-check that the information is consistent before going to the counter. In the midst of this process, having professional support can make the difference. NDM Law Firm, a Panamanian firm with experience assisting foreigners with immigration procedures and legal, civil, and commercial matters, can review your file, coordinate with you and with the landlord, prepare the documentation, and represent you before the immigration to file the correct application from the first attempt, reducing refund and optimizing time. Now, it's your turn. Why do you think this measure was taken, and why now? Will it help organize the records or just add more paperwork? What's the most complex aspect in your case? Confirming the address, obtaining a letter from the landlord, or finding time to go to immigration? Tell us about your experience in the comments, and if you like a specific video with requirements for the David office or any other province. Your contribution may provide guidance for other residents. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and leave us a comment about what other topics you would like to discuss on this channel. As always, it was a pleasure to be with you. See you in the next one.